Do you know how many minutes there are in a day? 1,440. Do you know how many hours there are in a week? 168. It's interesting to me that rich people cannot buy more hours. Scientists cannot invent new minutes. You cannot even save time to spend it on another day. You've got a little time today, you say, well, I'd like to save it up for tomorrow. You can't do that. Do you number your days? Do you realize how important every single day is?
It all comes down to this moment for Super Bowl 42.
That day, we were the underdogs. It was a game many thought was over before we even played.
Unless the Giants can come back here, the undefeated Patriots are poised to make Super Bowl history.
I knew I was open, but I wouldn't be open for long.
Directed at the back of the shirt, and he was able to evade that and get away from it. How did he get away from that? I have no idea. I thought they had him sacked for sure. I am still flabbergasted, and it's amazing how he didn't go down. What a job he did.
Tyree had Harrison all over him. The ball was on his helmet, but he got his other hand on it, pulled it in.
What a catch he made with the coverage that was on top of him.
The New York Giants drafted me in the 6th round of the 2003 draft, and it was everything that I was looking for. You know, I had some tremendous challenges through college, getting the field, getting the recognition, and now I felt like, you know, this is finally it. So it was about that. It was about that glory for me as a rookie, and I just enjoyed every moment of it. You know, most people would like to think that, you know, money would solve all your problems. And I found that the money only multiplied the evils that were in my life. It just gave me access to more of the things that I craved the most, whether, you know, if I had women, it just made me that much more likable by women. If I loved alcohol, now I was able to get all the alcohol I wanted. I loved, you know, now, whereas maybe in time past I didn't have marijuana, now I'm able to buy all the marijuana that I wanted. You know, I was one person in public and a totally different person in private. My struggles with alcohol were a lot more than just having a good time and getting wasted and laughing away. I was totally, you know, just inebriated to the point where I couldn't keep my composure. There were times where my blackouts, you know, led me to places where I woke up the next day and naked in a bed and not knowing, you know, what happened the night before. You know, I smoked weed every single day throughout my rookie year, and I began to not just smoke the weed, I began to sell the weed. I'll never forget those sirens in my rearview mirror, the sound and how my heart dropped in that very moment. You know, being asked to get out that car and them searching the car and pulling out that half a pound of marijuana. And it was a deflating moment in my life. For the first time, you know, as I was being pulled into that Fort Lee jail cell, I realized that I was broken. You know, I was broken and there was no one to look at other than myself. When I was in that jail cell, I really just knew I was at the end of my own strength. I realized I'm 24 years old, NFL Special Teams Rookie of the Year, New York Giants Rookie of the Year, and I got everything that anybody could potentially want. But it didn't lead to anything apart from decay and death and disappointment. And I was broken. You know, I was broken and, you know, and I realized that, you know what, there was no one to look at other than myself. And at that moment, nothing else mattered. I just knew I needed something more. I just cried out in desperation and just said, God, all I know is I need you. And that following weekend, after I got arrested, I ended up in the back of a church in a fetal position, crying and weeping out to God. I could no longer resist God's love. As I received God's forgiveness, I knew that I was new. The person of Jesus Christ was now a reality in my life. It wasn't just a myth. It wasn't just a figment or this idea. The forgiveness of sins is what actually sets man free. And I was immediately transformed. I knew that I experienced a love that had changed my life forever, and I knew there was never going to be any looking back for me.